In the news tonight, 2 teenagers charged and remanded to Dodds Prison for the shooting death of Shonathan Chase. A mother speaks out after her son's close call during the island's latest shooting incident. Barbados continues to strengthen ties with the People's Republic of China. And in sports, defending champs Barbados make it 2 from 2 at the CWI Under-15 Championship.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Broom. Thank you so much for tuning in. In our top story tonight, a day after Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley called for an end to the gun crime plaguing the country, a mother is also pleading for it to stop. This after her son's close brush with death resulting from a shooting incident. Michelle Samuel, who preferred to have only her voice recorded, spoke to our Crystal Hoyt about the ordeal.
How much more innocent lives before something is done? These children could have lost their life, and then what would be told to us as the mothers? Sorry, can't bring back the life on Nathan. This needs to be stopped.
That's the voice of Michelle Samuel, the mother of the 14-year-old boy who was grazed by a bullet yesterday evening at the corner of Betwiff Street and Wellington Street. While she is thankful to still have her son today, the traumatized woman is mindful of how close she came to losing him. She recounted what happened.
My son was crossed by his aunt watching TV as he would usually do, and I heard a loud explosion. I thought it was the transformer, but then from the cries of outside, it drew me to the door. And in coming to the door, I see a man down in the back. I came back to the door, and then I was children down in the back. I came back to the door, and then I was called by my aunt. My son was saying that he get hit. When I came, I saw his head was bleeding.
According to police, there was an altercation between 2 men and shots were fired. Ms. Samuel's son was transported via private vehicle to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital.
He got grazed from the bullet. Thank God it just grazed the top. He got stitches and he was sent home. And right now they say have these children so traumatized. The slightest sound jumps my son.
As lawmen carry out their investigations, they're asking anyone who may have information that can assist to contact the police at 211 or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-8477.
Well, just yesterday, Prime Minister Motley called for the youth of the nation to put down the illegal guns. She also urged the older folk in society to play their role to get the guns out of their houses and off the streets. Ms. Motley was delivering remarks at the funeral service for 13-year-old Shonathan Chase. And we're hearing that 2 young men have been arrested and charged in connection with the death of Shonathan Chase. They are 18-year-old Kairiko Dante Darrell Clark and 16-year-old, both of Briar Hall Gardens in Christchurch. They appeared at the Oistins Magistrate Court before Magistrate Deirdre McKenna today. The 2 young men have also been charged with the murder of Shonathan Chase on March 28th, as well as endangering the lives of Jaquil Callender, Jamari Bourne and Joel Bourne while at Silver Hill in Christchurch. They have also been separately charged with using an illegal firearm. Clark and his 16-year-old co-accused are remanded to Barbados Prison Service Dodds and are scheduled to return to court on May 15th. Chase was shot in the chest and abdomen on March 25th and died while undergoing emergency surgery at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. He was watching a netball game at Silver Hill in Christchurch when he was shot. His life was celebrated at a funeral service yesterday at the Garfield Sobers complex before being laid to rest at Coral Ridge. Well, 3 people, including a mother and daughter, have been charged with importation of an illegal drug and money laundering. Abuzar Hans, a 21-year-old of Ocean View Road, Spooners Hill in St. Michael, Lisa Cecilia Walcott, 55, and Destiny Alisa Miracle Greenidge, 19, both of 2nd Avenue, Welshman Hall, St. Thomas, have been charged with possession, importation, and intent to supply 10.6 kilograms of cocaine with a street value of 530,000 Barbados dollars. Hans and Greenidge were also jointly charged for laundering 36,667 Barbados dollars, while Hans was separately charged for laundering Barbados $69,802.45. The offences all occurred while at 2nd Avenue, Welshman Hall in St. Thomas. They all appeared before Magistrate Pamela Beckles in the District D Magistrate Court yesterday and were not required to plead to the indictable offences. Hans and Greenidge were both granted bail in the sum of $150,000, while Walcott was granted $100,000 bail with one surety. They're all scheduled to reappear in court on August 20th. Talks have been held between Barbados Prime Minister Mia Motley and Nigeria's Minister of Aviation on expanding air connectivity. Festus Keyamo visited the island following the historic signing of a bilateral air services agreement with neighboring Trinidad and Tobago. In a statement, Tunde Moshood, the Special Advisor on Media and Communications to Keyamo, says the meeting is part of the minister's ongoing diplomatic mission to deepen air connectivity between Nigeria, South America, and the Caribbean. It was revealed during his visit to Barbados, Mr. Keyamo held a series of productive bilateral meetings with key cabinet ministers. Discussions focused on the urgent need to expand direct air connectivity between the two regions, as well as Nigeria's proposal to update and revitalize the existing bilateral air services agreement between Nigeria and Barbados. A formal invitation was also extended to the government of Barbados for a follow-up meeting in Abuja, Nigeria's capital, in the coming weeks. Gospel Fest serves as a guide for people to get back to God, and that is what organizers of the annual festival are seeking to project at a time when there is upheaval in the nation. That's according to executive producer of the National Festival, Adrian Agard. He says Gospel Fest, now in its 32nd edition, has maintained and pushed the gospel of Jesus Christ, which delivers people from fear and anxiety. He was speaking at the launch of this year's festival during a media conference at Lear's in St. Michael at the corporate office of Chefette Restaurant, which is a sponsor. The event is scheduled to be held from May 25th to June 1st at Farley Hill. Now this year, several Christian artists will take to the stage, including comedian Akintunde Warnock, Vincentian Bridget Blucher, as well as a stellar local cast.
But there's a lot of challenge in the nation right now. People are feeling stress. There's a sense of fear. You know, the words of the national anthem tells us, our second verse, the Lord has been the people's guide for the past 300 years. With him still on the people's side, we have no doubts or fears. And we know that today in Barbados there's a sense of fear out of what people have been experiencing. And what we're seeing today is the destruction that comes as a result of traveling on the Broadway. Barbados Gospel Fest reminds people every year to look to where there's hope, where there's joy, where there's salvation, where there's life.
Meanwhile, Minister in the Prime Minister's office with responsibility for culture, Senator Dr. Shantel Monroe Knight, says this year's Gospel Fest is going to be an expression of the best that Christendom has to offer Barbados and the arts.
The things that I love about what Gospel Fest does is that it makes space for new voices and new artists and put them on the biggest stage when it brings it to Farley Hill, right? And that does something for the Christian community, that does something for Barbados. Again, I'm one who is passionate about making sure that we give exposure to all facets of the arts.
Long-standing Democratic Labour Party member and candidate attorney-at-law Michael Lashley will not be contesting the next general election on that party's ticket. CBC News understands Lashley was dismissed from the party last night, and fellow attorney-at-law Simon Clark has been given the nod for the St. Philip North constituency, which Lashley represented. Mr. Lashley served in the DLP administration from 2003 to 2018 before losing to the Barbados Labour Party's sitting Member of Parliament, Dr. Sonia Brown. When contacted, DLP's President, Senator Andrea Worrell, said he had no comment to make on the matter. And coming up on Newsnight, Barbados forging deeper ties with China. Barbados continues to strengthen its ties with the People's Republic of China. Deputy Secretary in charge of the daily work of the Central and State Organs Working Committee of the Communist Party of China, Guo Wengi, led a delegation from that party, which paid a visit to the Barbados Labour Party's Roebuck Street headquarters. Party Chairman and President of the Senate, the Most Honourable Reginald Farley, who welcomed the delegation, says the BLP has long-standing ties with the Chinese Communist Party. The President of the Senate adds the political parties also exchange views on matters of mutual interest.
We believe that Barbados is part of the international community of nations. It needs to maintain sound and solid relations with all countries in the world, and more especially countries as large and as diverse as the People's Republic of China. We will continue these levels of engagement and cooperation. You know, of course, that as a result of that cooperation that stretches back many years, we've been able to benefit, for example, from the construction of the Wilder Gymnasium, which has been the home of indoor sports and entertainment for many years. And you know that in the last week or two, there was another delegation, technical delegation, visiting the National Stadium project where the demolition work is about to start, and after that the construction work.
The Chinese politician says the purpose of his visit is to enhance cooperation and communication between the two political parties, as well as to boost and consolidate the political foundation for bilateral ties through party-to-party channels. As part of the ongoing educational transformation, Barbados is working to identify the best fit for artificial intelligence within the education system. School Liaison Officer in the Information Technology and Quality Assurance Unit of the Ministry of Educational Transformation, David Wood, acknowledged that the use of AI in education has drawn several concerns from both administrators and students. He says the ministry is developing the appropriate policy to help guide and enhance the use of AI in education. Mr. Wood was among the presenters for the fourth installation of the Barbados Union of Teachers' annual Caribbean Teachers Talk.
We're not just sitting down and saying it's something that because it's there we're going to embrace it and embrace all of it. We've realized that we have to develop the policies which are going to benefit our students in the Barbadian context first, but also in the context of how they're going to interact with the world. Our current minister has always said, yes, we're developing great students. Yes, we're developing brilliant students. But what we want to develop are the creators of where we want to take this country forward. Not just develop the users of technology. We want to be the creators and innovators going forward in how we use technology. And AI is a part of that.
Also speaking about AI at the BUT event was CXC Director of Operations, Dr. Nicole Manning. She stressed the importance of fairness and forging partnerships with the embrace and development of artificial intelligence in education.
Many times, the very creativity or innovations that happen within our own space, they are not necessarily moving ahead because we may not have partnered with somebody or we may not have provided the sufficient opportunities to create that equitable space for persons to move on. I say that to say that we have created what we now coin as our CXC standards and guidelines. And those guidelines are there to help you to ensure that equitable space.
A new British High Commissioner has been appointed to Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean. He is Simon Mustard. The British government, in making the announcement, says he will take up his appointment during May 2025. Mr. Mustard will succeed Scott Ferson Dunwood, who will be transferring to another diplomatic service appointment.
Sports Night, brought to you with the compliments of Great Health Works, agents for Omega XL.
Let's head on over to the Sports Center where Amory Burke is standing by.
It'll be 246 Mobile Shop City United Celtics and Burger King Clapham Bulls to contest the final of the Cooperators General Insurance Barbados Amateur Basketball Association's Premier League after both swept their semi-final series last night at the BCC Gym. Here's a look at the games. If Game 1 was anything to go by, we knew Celtics in the pink and black would be standing on business when it came to closing out this series with Lakers. And by halftime, there was a clear indication that game plan was in full motion. As being up by 10 in the first at 21-11, they will close out the second by an even greater margin, 50-22. And this man, Deroni Hurley, was leading that charge. So into the third we go, and Lakers on the back foot needed to press harder. David Walks finds Tariq Yearwood, who gets an easy dunk. Lakers doing all they can to close the gap, all hands on deck, and watch as Primus Waldron goes hard and makes it count. But you know, on the other end, the baskets kept coming. And when you throw in the big ones like this from Anand Joseph Thorne, well, you pretty much could write the script from here. And though Celtics was not having as tidy or organized a game, getting more baskets was their edge. Adams got this three in the nick of time on the shot clock. Celtics ended the third still in command, 68-44. So time to sew things up still in Celtics domain, and with Lakers D tightening up, the path to the ring was not as easy. No, let me take that back. Here goes Joel Hunt. Now that was delivered with vengeance. Celtics just adding more and more to the score sheet. I must give kudos to Lakers for the fight given in the final 15. Played down to a 10-point game, Captain Keith Burkett from the Arc. But all too late as Celtics just ran down the clock. The buzzer goes. Celtics are finals bound. Series taken 2-0. Final game won at 90-80. And the script was written pretty much the same in the second semi-final series, as Bulls in the red had stamped their authority early over Cavs. Junior Moore put in money in the bank. Bulls wasted no time in leading the first quarter 29-19 and headed into the half, ensuring it was even more secure at 70-38. The game was fast-paced and the turnovers plenty. Zachary Cave is double-marked and loses the ball. Simeon Maynard picks it up and spots Rashid Maynard, who pulls up at the arc. Bullseye. Not to say Cavs didn't have their shining moments, almost losing it, but aim to save the day. Stefan Otley, he's also in the big leagues. Cavs on the move again, and Otley steps up to finish the play with a sweet floater. But although Cavs doubled down on the defense, Bulls were still charging ahead. Akeem Marsh gets the pass and makes a go for it. Bulls making the most of all opportunities. As at the end of the third, it was 85-67, still in their favor. So just to close it out, adding some flair in the process, Anton Winter with the dunk. Cavs not letting the Bulls steal all the spotlight. Gavin Phillips poaches the ball and takes it to the basket. Why not with a one-hand dunk? But with the game one in their pockets and game two signed and sealed, Bulls will meet Celtics in the final series as they will take game two 102-85. It's on to play for the league title.
The Business Report, brought to you with the compliments of Republic Bank. We're the one for you.
As local manufacturers brace for the impact of United States President Donald Trump's tariffs to take effect, at least one business stalwart says his company is watching and making the necessary adjustments. That's according to Managing Director of Chefette Restaurants Limited, Ryan Halut. He says his company has put contingency plans in place for any shortfall, including using alternate suppliers where possible.
We don't have the dollars yet because almost every day or a couple of days we're getting supplier A saying, hey, it's going to impact you by this %. Supplier B is saying, hey, by this %. Some of them are not saying because they don't know. So we find a lot of uncertainty. So we just have to wait and see and go from there. We always have that in place, but there's some products that you can't get alternate supply of. So whether they're increased tariffs or not, you can't run out. We don't like to say, hey, we don't have this or this is not available. Chefette is known for having the product available. We may not have it cooked because you're going to be close to closing and you have to wait and you offer a wait time, but we pride ourselves on having the product all the time.
Additionally, Mr. Halut says there is no scope for new products at this moment, and as soon as plans for their location in Newton Christchurch are confirmed, there will be a public announcement. He says their brands have been picking up momentum, although Frosties ice cream remains the baby product.
We always wish we can do better because it's a new or a baby brand. This is our 4th year this year. Chefette was 72, so if you do the math, that's what, 53 years? So there's a lot for Chefette to be, which is good, but Frosties is doing good, but we still need to push and continue. It's still a baby brand.
Some of the 250 people attending the Barbados Sport Inc.'s auction yesterday left empty-handed. This as the 7 vehicles available for a scheduled auction were sold within 45 minutes. According to a press release from port officials, the sale followed an appeal to consignees on February 15th to hasten the clearance and collection of their cargo. Consignees were also informed that cargo remaining for more than 30 days is classified as aged and can be offered for sale by auction if unclaimed. The port's chief executive officer, David Jean-Marie, says the primary thrust of the auction was to decongest the port and maximize the available space for incoming cargo. He also notes that those responsible for the vehicles responded to the appeal, moved to obtain clearance and delivery of their cargo, and to settle their obligations. Winning bidders are expected to take delivery of their cargo by April 23rd.
Sports Night, brought to you with the compliments of Great Health Works, agents for Omega XL.
Head back over to the sports studio now for the second half in sports. Anne-Marie?
Thanks, Lisa. Now, the new timeline for the start of the National Stadium demolition is next week. The redevelopment project, which started on April 1st, was expected to continue with the demolition of the stands this past Tuesday, but that didn't happen. An explanation for the delay was provided today to the media by Chief Executive Officer of Hague Communications, Joanne Hague, who represents the Barbados Tourism Investment Inc.
It wasn't a case of the ministry didn't have the dates right or anything like that. We agreed, and especially the communications team. We felt, and the project managers and the Chinese felt, let us look at the Easter weekend and make it a peaceful weekend, and let us then do the work afterwards. So it's not a delay in the sense of things went wrong. It was actually our choice to delay that because we were thinking and mindful of the people on Stadium Road so that they will not be impacted in any way during the Easter weekend. Not that we would be working the Easter weekend, but the dust that could have come off over the next couple of days into the weekend, we were mindful of that.
Ms. Hague also said that residents in the neighboring communities have been officially notified by letter that work will begin next week. She also gave an insight into the demolition process.
We're not starting with the stands. There are some adjoining buildings that we will be demolishing first. And I want to be clear because I've seen some messages on some of the social media pages from some of the media agencies that they expected to see some sort of implosion. We're not doing that. They're going to deconstruct the stands. And that will be done with some machinery and by hand. As you can see, a lot of it's concrete and metal. With the chairs, obviously, we remove by hand. And when it gets to, let's just say, a manageable level, then of course the bigger machinery would come in and break it down. So when that happens, of course we're going to put out a notice as we go along, because I know Barbadians are, I would say, excited to see, and they normally like demolitions, so they might want to see it coming down, but it's not coming down in the way they probably thought, okay, this thing is just going to drop. It's not happening that way.
From April 20th to the 26th, the best of the region's junior table tennis players will be in Barbados for the 28th Caribbean Regional Youth Championships set for the Wildy Gym. Team Barbados has been putting in the preparation at their home base at the National Table Tennis Center in Constitution Road, and we dropped in on a training session. For the 2025 edition of the Regional Junior Table Tennis Championships, Team Barbados, who are hosts, will be expected to have a good showing, and so they've been hard at work on the tables in preparation. Guiding them is President of the Barbados Table Tennis Association, Trevor Farley, a former national athlete himself, and he assures they're doing everything to show up and show out in a big way.
Since we are hosting, we have normally 4 players per age category, 4 boys, 4 girls, but as hosts we have 4 extra players in each category, so that's where our players can get some exposure. And that. As you can see, we're in preparation mode. We've been preparing since myself in January, so I think the kids are well prepared, and now we're having the gymnasium set up. We will get some time before the other teams come to get a familiarity of the conditions and the venue, and hope that it will be an advantage to our kids. I'm expecting some good things. During the course of the training, I've seen some drastic improvement in some kids. All in all, it's a learning process, and I hope that all my kids be winners by taking away something from this tournament.
2 of the players are overseas based through their universities, Kodesh Weeks, who's in Canada, and Alex Henry, who's based in England. Both are back home and training with the team in preparation for the regional tournament, and for weeks, her aim is to get on the podium, especially with home court advantage.
The ball moves differently here and in comparison to different countries. So I guess being able to play here and get accustomed to the speed of the ball is a big advantage. Obviously, I would like to walk away with a medal, put Barbados top position in table tennis. And probably, again, encourage girls, because there's not a lot of us, encourage girls to play.
Meanwhile, Henry's also looking to bring home some hardware for the local team.
I feel very happy, actually, to represent my country here. I was training overseas, and this is my last year in junior. I would like to win the championship, or at least make the podium.
Barbados will be joined by teams from Antigua and Barbuda, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Grenada, Guyana, Jamaica, St. Lucia, Puerto Rico, Trinidad and Tobago, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines for the 6-day regional tournament starting on April 20th at the Wilby Gymnasium.
On behalf of the entire team, thank you so much for tuning in. Good night.